No one on the human survey ship Odyssey Reach noticed when Elias Cade collapsed. That was the cruel truth of frontier space. On the edge of explored territory, silence often meant death. Elias lay on the cold stone floor of an underground ruin, his helmet cracked, his breath shallow. Strange crimson symbols glowed faintly along the walls, pulsing like a slow heartbeat. The air itself felt wrong, thick, heavy, and alive. His suit alarms had screamed for only a few seconds before going quiet, systems overwhelmed by an unknown toxin now racing through his blood. Moments ago, he had been confident. Human confidence had built empires among the stars. Now it was killing him. Elias had been part of a small reconnaissance team sent to Kepler 89X, a planet classified as low threat, moderate interest. Old alien structures, abandoned long before humanity ever reached space. The kind of place humans loved, mysteries waiting to be solved, resources waiting to be claimed. He had volunteered without hesitation. Humans always did. The ruins were older than anything in human records. Smooth black stone, grown rather than carved. Elias had reached out, curious, brushing his glove against a red-veined pillar. The reaction was instant. The stone released a fine mist, invisible but lethal. His suit filters failed within seconds. Now his limbs were numb. His vision blurred. Every breath felt like pulling air through fire. He tried to activate his emergency beacon, but the signal flickered uselessly. Deep underground, surrounded by alien interference, no one would hear him. His team was kilometers away on the surface, unaware that one of their own was dying below their feet. Elias laughed weakly. So this is how it ends, he thought. Not in battle. Not saving anyone. Just curiosity. Human curiosity had always been both their greatest weapon and their greatest weakness. His thoughts drifted to Earth. To oceans he had never seen again. To his mother's voice telling him to be careful, even as she had encouraged him to explore. Humans raised explorers, then prayed they would survive. Darkness crept in from the edges of his vision. Then the darkness moved. A shadow detached itself from the far end of the chamber, gliding forward without sound. Elias thought, briefly, that his brain was finally giving up, inventing monsters to soften the fear. The figure knelt beside him. She was tall and slender, her movements impossibly smooth. Skin pale as moonlight. Long silver-white hair flowed down her back, catching the glow of the red symbols. Her eyes were deep crimson, not glowing with malice, but sharp with intelligence. Alien. Undeniably alien. Her ears tapered to elegant points, and when she leaned closer, Elias saw her teeth, slightly longer, sharper than human. A predator. Yet her expression was calm, focused, almost concerned. "You are dying," she said softly, in flawless standard human. Her voice carried a strange musical tone, ancient and steady. Elias tried to respond. Only a weak sound escaped his throat. She placed 2 cool fingers against his neck, feeling his pulse slow beneath her touch. Her brows drew together slightly. "The ruin has chosen you poorly," she murmured. Chosen. Of course the alien ruins chose victims. She looked around once, as if listening to something beyond hearing. Then she made a decision. Humans were not the only species who understood the weight of choice. She raised her wrist to her mouth. Elias's fading mind struggled to understand what he was seeing as her sharp teeth pierced her own skin. Dark red blood welled up, thicker than human blood, glowing faintly as if infused with living energy. Fear sparked through him. This isn't how first contact is supposed to go. She brought her bleeding wrist to his lips. "Drink," she said. He tried to turn away, but his body betrayed him. Survival instinct overrode fear, reason, and training. His lips touched her skin, and her blood flowed into his mouth. It burned. Not like poison. Like fire and lightning combined. His heart convulsed violently. Pain exploded through every nerve, forcing a silent scream from his chest. His vision filled with red and white light as his body fought the foreign substance invading it. The alien woman held him firmly, her grip strong despite her slender frame. "Do not resist," she whispered. "Your species adapts. I have seen it." Her blood surged through him, crashing against the toxin in his veins. Elias felt something impossible happening, his cells responding, changing, fighting back. His lungs drew in air again. His heartbeat steadied, stronger than before. Human biology did not surrender easily. That was something the galaxy often underestimated. The pain faded into overwhelming exhaustion. As darkness claimed him once more, Elias caught one last glimpse of her face. Not cold. Not cruel. Regretful. When he woke again, the world felt different. Too sharp. Too clear. He sat up abruptly, gasping, not from lack of air, but from sensation. Every sound echoed loudly in his ears. He could hear distant dripping water, the subtle hum of energy in the walls, even his own heartbeat, powerful and slow. The chamber was no longer a ruin. He lay on a stone platform in a vast underground hall, illuminated by soft crimson light. Advanced alien technology blended seamlessly with ancient architecture. This place was not abandoned. It was hidden. "You survived," the woman said. She stood several steps away, watching him closely. Elias stared at his hands. They were steady, strong. He could feel the air brushing against his skin, sense the room around him as if it were part of his own body. "What did you do to me?" he asked. His voice sounded deeper, stronger. "I saved you," she replied. "At great cost." He swung his legs over the platform and stood. The movement felt effortless, controlled. Too controlled. He took a step forward and stopped himself just in time from moving far faster than intended. Something was very wrong. "You changed me," Elias said slowly. "Yes." She did not deny it. "My name is Velith," she continued. "I am of the Narctyran." The word sent a strange echo through his mind. "Vampires," whispered a distant human instinct. "We are not myths," Velith said, as if reading his thoughts. "We are watchers. Guardians. And now, you are bound to me." Elias looked at her, fear and awe mixing in his chest. "I didn't agree to this." "You had seconds to live," Velith replied calmly. "Human laws of consent do not apply to death." Anger flared inside him, then faded. Because he was alive. More than alive. Somewhere deep inside, Elias felt it, a strange awareness, a connection tugging gently at his senses. He could feel Velith's presence, her strength, her restraint. And beyond that, something else. Power. Human power. Changed but not erased. Outside the hidden chamber, human ships continued their scans, unaware that the galaxy had just made a mistake it would regret. Because it had not just saved a human. It had awakened one. And humanity had never needed permission to change the fate of the stars. Elias did not sleep the way humans normally slept. He shut down. That was the only way he could describe it later, his body slipping into a deep, deliberate stillness, like a machine entering standby mode while invisible systems worked beneath the surface. When awareness returned, it came gently, without panic or pain. He opened his eyes. Velith was still there. She sat several steps away, perfectly motionless, her crimson eyes open, unblinking. If Elias had not been able to sense her presence so clearly now, he might have thought her a statue carved from moonlight and shadow. "You didn't move," he said. "I do not require rest as your species does," she replied. "And I was watching you." "That's comforting," Elias muttered. He pushed himself upright and immediately noticed how right it felt. His balance was flawless. His muscles responded instantly, without hesitation or strain. Every movement carried quiet strength, controlled and precise. Human bodies were not supposed to feel like this. He took a slow breath. The air tasted different, layered, rich. He could smell stone, metal, faint traces of something organic far beyond the chamber walls. "Your senses will continue to sharpen," Velith said. "Resisting it will only cause discomfort." "Great," Elias replied. "So I'm permanently upgraded and there's no uninstall button." Her lips twitched slightly. Not quite a smile. "You adapt quickly," she said. "As expected." Elias looked at her sharply. "You knew that." I have studied humanity for a long time, Velith said calmly. Your kind survives situations that should erase you. You change. You endure. Other species evolve slowly. Humans improvise. That sounded almost like admiration. Almost. He stepped closer before realizing he had moved. Velith noticed instantly, her posture shifting, not defensive, but alert. So, Elias said, keeping his voice steady, you've been watching us. Hiding under a planet we thought was empty. Why? Because humans are dangerous, Velith answered without hesitation. Elias blinked. That's honest. You spread faster than any species I have observed. You take hostile worlds and make them homes. You lose millions and still advance. You should have collapsed under your own aggression and fear long ago. She met his gaze directly. But you didn't. Elias felt something tighten in his chest. Dangerous doesn't mean evil, he said. No, Velith agreed. It means unpredictable. She turned and gestured toward a wide opening at the far end of the chamber. Beyond it, Elias could sense open space, vast, layered, alive with energy. Come, she said. You need to understand what you have become. They moved through corridors carved with impossible precision. Elias noticed details he would have missed before, tiny fractures in the stone, old repairs, energy conduits woven seamlessly into ancient architecture. This place was not just a shelter. It was a fortress. They entered a massive cavern that opened into a concealed abyss beneath the planet's surface. Platforms of black stone hovered silently over a glowing red void far below. What is this place? Elias asked. A Narctyran sanctuary, Velith replied. One of the last. Elias stopped walking. Last. The galaxy does not welcome watchers, she said evenly. We intervene rarely. When we do, others notice. She turned to face him fully. And when others notice, they fear. Elias nodded slowly. Humans knew that story well. Velith stepped onto one of the platforms and looked back at him expectantly. Elias hesitated only a second before following. The platform responded instantly, adjusting to his weight as if it recognized him. That startled him. It responds to you, he said. Yes, Velith replied. My blood marked you as kin-adjacent. That's not unsettling at all. The platform glided forward, carrying them across the abyss. Elias watched the red glow below pulse in rhythm with something deeper, something alive. What happens if my people find this place? He asked. Velith's answer came immediately. They will. Elias frowned. You sound certain. Human exploration does not stop, she said. Your kind will return. You will dig deeper. You always do. She looked at him again, her expression serious now. And when they do, others will follow. Species who do not fear humans the way they should. Elias understood then. You're not hiding from us, he said quietly. You're hiding from what comes after us. Velith said nothing. The platform reached the far side. As they stepped off, Elias felt something shift inside him, a pressure, like a muscle he had never known existed suddenly flexing. He staggered. Velith was at his side instantly, steadying him. What was that? He asked. The bond strengthening, she said. And your body completing its adaptation. Elias straightened, breathing slowly. He felt it now, an undercurrent of energy, calm but immense, coiled beneath his thoughts. Velith, he said carefully, what exactly did your blood do to me? She hesitated, then answered honestly. It gave you the ability to survive what is coming. His pulse quickened. What's coming? Before she could reply, the cavern trembled. A deep vibration rolled through the stone, followed by a sound Elias recognized instantly. Human engines. Velith's eyes widened slightly. So soon, she whispered. Elias turned toward the distant ceiling, his enhanced hearing locking onto the unmistakable echo of drilling equipment and scanning pulses. His people. His team. They are here for me, Elias said. They are here for the ruins, Velith corrected. And they will not stop. Elias clenched his fists. Humans never did. What happens if they breach this sanctuary? He asked. Velitha's voice was low. The Narctyran will be discovered. Feared. Hunted. Elias thought of Earth. Of human history. Of what happened when powerful secrets were exposed. He met her gaze. Then we don't let it happen, he said. Velith studied him, really studied him, as if seeing something new. You would stand between your species and mine. Elias didn't hesitate. I won't let humans destroy what they don't understand, he said. But I also won't let anyone wipe out humanity for asking questions. That was the line humans always walked. Dangerously. Velith was silent for a long moment. Then she nodded. Very well, she said. Then you will need to learn what you can do. Another tremor shook the cavern. Elias felt the power inside him respond, awakening eagerly. Humanity had found something ancient. The galaxy was about to find out what happened when humans evolved faster than fear. The first thing Elias learned was that power meant nothing without control. The second thing he learned was that humans learned faster when their lives depended on it. Velith led him into a wide training chamber carved deep into the sanctuary. The walls shimmered faintly with embedded energy veins, reacting to their presence. The air felt charged, alive, like the calm before a storm. This place responds to intent, Velith said. If you lose focus, it will punish you. That sounds fair, Elias replied. The universe has always been very fair to humans. She ignored the comment. Your strength is no longer human, she continued. Your speed, perception, and endurance exceed standard limits. If you act on instinct alone, you will destroy this chamber. Possibly yourself. Elias flexed his hands slowly. He could feel the power coiled inside him, eager, impatient. It reminded him of the early days of human spaceflight. Raw engines, barely contained fire, held together by hope and stubbornness. So, he said, how do I not break everything? Velith stepped back and gestured toward a stone pillar rising from the floor. Strike it, she said. Elias stared at the pillar. It looked solid enough to survive explosives. He exhaled and threw a cautious punch. The pillar shattered. Not cracked. Not chipped. Shattered. Fragments exploded outward, embedding themselves deep into the far wall. The shockwave rippled through the chamber, and the floor vibrated beneath his feet. Elias froze. Okay, he said quietly. That's more than expected. Velith studied the damage. You held back. I did, Elias said. A lot. Good, she replied. Most fail that test. She moved closer, her voice calm and precise. Your body no longer obeys fear limits. Humans evolved restraints because your muscles could tear you apart. Those restraints are gone. You must replace them with discipline. Elias nodded slowly. Humanity had always been good at that, building rules where nature had failed. They trained for hours. Velith taught him how to listen to the power instead of forcing it. How to move without wasting energy. How to focus his senses instead of drowning in them. Elias learned to filter sound, narrowing his hearing from overwhelming chaos to precise awareness. He learned to slow his movements until speed became a choice, not a reflex. He failed constantly. He adapted faster. Between exercises, the tremors continued above them. Drilling. Scanning. Human voices echoed faintly through layers of stone. They're getting closer, Elias said. Yes, Velith replied. Your people are efficient. That's one word for it. As if summoned by the thought, a sharp pressure bloomed in Elias's chest. Not pain. Awareness. A pull toward the surface. The bond, Velith said quietly. You're sensing intent. Intent to break things, Elias muttered. That tracks. She regarded him for a moment. You feel them more strongly than I anticipated. Elias focused. Images flickered at the edge of his mind, human scanners slicing through rock, commanders arguing over readings, excitement building as unknown energy signatures spiked. They think this place is a power source, he said. Or a weapon. Velitha's jaw tightened. Both assumptions invite destruction. Elias turned to her. If they get inside, what happens? Velith didn't hesitate. My people will respond. And that response looks like what? Elias asked. Erasure, she said simply. The word landed heavily. Elias exhaled slowly. Humans knew that word too well. Entire civilizations wiped away because someone felt threatened enough to strike first. We can't let it come to that, he said. Velitha's gaze sharpened. Then what do you propose, human? Elias thought fast. That was another human specialty. They came looking for answers, he said. So we give them answers. Exposure would doom us, Velith replied. Not exposure, Elias corrected. Controlled contact. Velith shook her head. Your species reacts violently to fear. So does yours, Elias countered. Difference is, humans argue first. She considered him in silence. Elias pressed on. You've watched us for years. You know how we work. If they breach this sanctuary and find you, panic wins. If they find me first, someone they recognize, someone who can talk, then we slow things down. Velitha's eyes narrowed. You would stand between armed humans and the Narctyran. Yes, Elias said without hesitation. That would make you a target. Elias gave a small, grim smile. Humans are used to that too. Another tremor shook the chamber. Stronger this time. They'll breach within hours, Elias said. Velith turned away, pacing slowly. You ask me to trust humanity with our survival. Elias watched her carefully. No, he said. I'm asking you to trust me. She stopped. For a long moment, nothing moved but the faint glow of the sanctuary walls. Finally, Velith spoke. There are others watching, she said. Other species. They already fear human expansion. If they learn a human has bonded with a Narctyran, they may see it as proof of your dominance. Elias's expression hardened. Humans don't dominate, he said. We endure. We cooperate. And when we fail, we learn. That wasn't entirely true. But it was true enough. Velith studied him with an intensity that went beyond biology, beyond strategy. She was weighing centuries of caution against one unpredictable human who refused to accept extinction as an option. At the surface, she said finally, your people will not listen easily. Elias nodded. They never do. He straightened, feeling the power inside him settle, focused and ready. But they will listen to one of their own who refuses to stay dead. Velith walked toward him and stopped an arm's length away. You will reveal yourself, she said. Yes. And if they try to take you by force? Elias met her gaze steadily. Then they'll learn something important about humanity, he said. We don't break just because someone pulls harder. Velith reached out and placed her hand over his chest, directly above his heart. The contact sent a quiet surge through the bond, resolve, concern, something deeper. Very well, she said. I will restrain my people. For now. Elias nodded. That's all I can ask. Above them, human drills punched through the final layers of stone. The breach alarms echoed through the sanctuary. Elias took a final breath and stepped toward the ascent path. Humanity had always been defined by moments like this. Standing at the edge of the unknown. Choosing not to fire first. And daring the galaxy to see them as more than a threat. The breach came with a scream of metal and stone. Human drills tore through the final layer of ancient rock, flooding the upper chambers with white floodlights and clouds of dust. Automated systems screamed warnings as unfamiliar energy readings spiked across every sensor. To the human expedition team, it felt like discovery. To the Narctyran, it felt like invasion. Elias stepped out of the shadows before either side could react. Stand down, he shouted. His voice cut through the chaos like a blade. Human soldiers froze. Weapons rose instinctively, targeting the figure emerging from the darkness. A man, human-shaped, human-faced, but something about him was wrong. His eyes reflected the floodlights too sharply. His posture was too calm, too confident. Commander Rhea Solan stared at him in disbelief. "Elias," she said. "That's impossible." "You left me for dead," Elias replied evenly. "I survived." The soldiers shifted uneasily. Commander Solan raised a hand, signaling restraint. "Status report," she demanded. "You disappeared. Your vitals flatlined." "They would have," Elias said, "if I hadn't been saved." Behind him, the shadows moved. Velith stepped forward. Every weapon snapped toward her instantly. "Do not fire," Elias said sharply. Commander Solan hesitated. Her eyes flicked between Elias and the pale, crimson-eyed alien woman standing beside him. "Elias," she said slowly, "step away from the hostile entity." Velith's expression did not change, but Elias felt the tension ripple through the bond. Narctyran defenses were awakening deeper in the sanctuary. Silent. Ready. "She's not hostile," Elias said. "She saved my life." "That thing rewrote your DNA," one of the scientists whispered, staring at his tablet. "Your readings are off the charts." "Yes," Elias said. "She did. Because your mission protocols weren't built for this place." Commander Solan's jaw tightened. "You expect us to believe an unknown alien altered a human and that's somehow acceptable?" Elias took a step forward. The ground cracked beneath his boot. The soldiers flinched. "Commander," Elias said calmly, "you sent me into an alien ruin without understanding it. I died because of that. She gave me a second chance. And now I'm telling you, if you push further, people die. On both sides." Solan studied him carefully. "You're compromised," she said. "Yes," Elias replied. "And still thinking clearly." He gestured toward the vast chamber behind him. "This sanctuary has been hidden for centuries. Not to threaten us. To avoid us. Because humanity scares the galaxy." A murmur rippled through the team. "Good," one Marine muttered under his breath. Elias turned his head slightly. "That attitude gets species wiped out." Silence fell. Velith stepped closer to Elias, her presence calm but heavy with power. "We have observed humanity," she said. "You expand rapidly. You adapt violently. You fear what you cannot control." Commander Solan swallowed. "And you manipulate us from the shadows." "No," Velith replied. "We waited." Elias raised his hand. "This is the moment where humans usually make the wrong choice," he said. "We see power, and we take it. We see fear, and we shoot it." He met Solan's eyes. "Or we do something better." Solan exhaled slowly. "And what's that?" Elias straightened. "We negotiate." The word echoed. Behind the humans, sensors screamed as unknown ships entered high orbit. Not human. Not Narctyran. Velith's eyes darkened. "They are here," she said quietly. Solan turned sharply. "Who?" Elias felt it now too, cold intent, sharp and predatory. "Others," he said. "The ones you were hiding from." The lights flickered as distant impacts shook the planet's crust. An alien voice cut into human comms, translated instantly. "Attention. Human presence. Step aside. The Narctyran are to be surrendered for containment." Containment. Everyone knew what that meant. Solan looked at Elias. "They want her." "They want control," Elias said. Velith placed her hand on his arm. "If war begins, my people will not survive sustained exposure." Elias clenched his fists. Humanity had stumbled into a trap older than their species. He looked back at the soldiers, scientists, explorers, humans who had crossed impossible distances chasing knowledge. "This is where we decide what kind of species we are," Elias said. The enemy fleet began orbital positioning. Human commanders awaited orders. Velith's sanctuary braced for annihilation. Elias stepped forward again. Humanity doesn't kneel, he said. And we don't abandon those who saved us. Above them, the first orbital strike began to charge, and the galaxy prepared to learn what happened when humans chose to stand between monsters and their prey. The first shot never fired. That surprised everyone. Human commanders waited for orders. Alien warships held position in orbit, weapons glowing with restrained power. Deep inside the sanctuary, Narctiran defenses stood ready, silent and lethal. And in the center of it all stood a human who should not have existed. Elias Cade looked up at the ceiling, feeling the pressure of targeting systems sweep across the planet. His enhanced senses traced the invisible lines of threat, calculating trajectories faster than any human computer. "They're testing us," he said calmly. Commander Solon glanced at him. "Testing how?" "Seeing if we panic," Elias replied. "If we fire first." Velith closed her eyes briefly. Through the bond, Elias felt something ancient, memories of civilizations erased not because they were weak, but because they reacted exactly as expected. Humanity had a reputation. Aggressive. Reckless. Impossible to control. Elias raised his voice. "Open all channels," he said. Solon hesitated only a second, then nodded. "Do it." The human fleet broadcasted on every known frequency, standard trade bans, emergency protocols, even obsolete diplomatic channels few species still monitored. Elias stepped forward, standing in full view of every sensor. "This is Elias Cade of the United Human Coalition," he said. "You are threatening a protected species under human observation." The response was immediate. "You claim authority you do not possess," the alien voice replied. "The Narctiran are an unregulated power. They will be neutralized." Elias smiled faintly. "That was the mistake. You misunderstand," he said. "I'm not invoking authority." He gestured behind him, toward Velith, toward the sanctuary, toward centuries of quiet survival. "I'm offering responsibility." Silence followed. Elias continued, steady and clear. "Humanity didn't conquer its way to the stars. We survived our own worst instincts long enough to learn cooperation. You see expansion. We see desperation. Short lives force us to act fast, but that doesn't mean blindly." The alien fleet hesitated. Calculations adjusted. Velith felt it. "They're reassessing," she whispered. Elias nodded. "Good. Because here's the part they didn't plan for." He turned slightly, allowing every sensor to read him fully. "I am living proof that humans and Narctiran can coexist. Adapt together. Improve each other without domination." Energy signatures spiked across the enemy fleet. "You are altered," the voice said. "A hybrid. An anomaly." "Yes," Elias replied. "And humans are very good at turning anomalies into systems." Commander Solon caught on instantly. She opened a second channel. "All fleets," she ordered. "Transmit medical and biological data packets. Full transparency." Data flooded outward, human adaptability studies, cooperative xenobiology frameworks, shared governance models humanity had built after countless failures. Not weapons. Proof. The alien fleet faltered. They had expected resistance. They had prepared for war. They had not prepared for inclusion. "This is a precedent risk," the alien commander replied. Elias nodded. "So was letting humans leave their home planet." A long pause followed. Then something remarkable happened. The alien weapons powered down. One by one. Velith felt it like a wave of disbelief ripple through the bond. "They're withdrawing," she said softly. Cheers erupted among the human teams. Some laughed in disbelief. Others simply sat down, overwhelmed. Elias exhaled slowly. It wasn't victory. It was something harder. Restraint. Days later, formal talks began in orbit. Humans acted as intermediaries, not conquerors. The Narctiran emerged cautiously, no longer ghosts, but not prey either. The galaxy watched. And remembered. Because something had changed. Humanity was no longer just a rising threat. They were a bridge. Elias stood at the edge of the sanctuary entrance, looking out at the stars. Velith joined him, her presence steady and warm through the bond. "You altered the course of multiple civilizations," she said. Elias shrugged lightly. "We're good at that." "You chose diplomacy over dominance," she continued. "That is rare." Elias looked at her. "We learned the hard way that survival alone isn't enough. You have to decide what kind of future you're surviving for." Velith was silent for a moment. Then she inclined her head. "Perhaps," she said, "humanity is not the danger we feared." Elias smiled. "We still are," he said. "Just not to the wrong people." Far across the stars, reports spread. Humans had protected an ancient species. Humans had refused to exploit power. Humans had changed the rules. And the galaxy began to understand the most frightening truth of all. When humanity evolved, it didn't do so alone. It brought everyone with it.